The observation deck of the galactic conservation vessel Harmony hummed with tension as General Krath stared through the reinforced glass at the 3 trembling cubs below. His 4 eyes blinked in succession, a sign of deep frustration among his species. The Velkhorn cubs, rescued from a dying world 3 cycles ago, had become the most perplexing problem in his 30-year military career. "They still won't eat," reported Lieutenant Zev, her crystalline fingers tapping nervously against her data pad. "Nutritional gel, synthesized meat, even live prey. Nothing works. They're wasting away." Krath's mandibles clicked in irritation. The cubs were the last of their kind, apex predators from a world consumed by its own sun. Saving them was supposed to be a triumph of galactic cooperation. Instead, it had become a nightmare. Every species on board had tried to approach them. Every species had failed. The cubs would cower in the corner of their habitat, emitting high-pitched distress calls that made even hardened soldiers uncomfortable. When anyone entered their space, they would bare their crystalline fangs and slash at the air with claws that could cut through steel. 2 veterinary teams had already been injured. "Perhaps," Krath said slowly, "we should consider euthanasia. A merciful end may be better than this prolonged suffering." "Wait." A human voice cut through the room. "Give me 24 hours." Krath turned to see Tara Quinn approaching. The human xenobiologist was small by galactic standards, barely reaching his lower thorax. Her species had only joined the Galactic Council 15 years ago, and many still considered them primitive, too emotional, too reckless, too soft. "Dr. Quinn," Krath said, struggling to keep the condescension from his voice, "I appreciate your enthusiasm, but we've had our best xenobiologists attempt—" "Your best xenobiologists are approaching them like scientists," Tara interrupted, meeting his gaze without flinching. "Most species found such direct eye contact aggressive, but humans seemed oblivious to this. Those cubs aren't specimens. They're orphans. They're terrified. And you believe you can succeed where the Vrax Collective's finest minds have failed?" Tara smiled, an expression that still unnerved many aliens with its display of teeth. "General, I'm not going to try to succeed. I'm just going to sit with them." Krath's translator struggled with the illogic of that statement, but he was desperate enough to agree. The next morning, security feeds showed Tara entering the habitat alone, against every protocol. She carried no sedatives, no weapons, no protective gear beyond basic clothing. The cubs immediately retreated to their corner, their silver fur standing on end, their growls reverberating through the chamber. Tara didn't approach them. Instead, she sat down on the floor about 10 meters away, cross-legged, and simply waited. Hours passed. The command deck was silent as officers watched the feeds. Tara didn't move toward the cubs. She didn't try to feed them or scan them. She just sat, occasionally shifting her position, sometimes humming softly to herself. "What is she doing?" Lieutenant Zev whispered. "I have no idea," Krath admitted. By hour 4, something changed. The largest cub, a female they designated V1, stopped growling. Her ears, which had been pinned flat against her skull, twitched forward slightly. She was listening to Tara's humming. By hour 6, V1 had moved 3 meters closer. "Impossible," breathed Dr. Zorthan, the Vrax xenobiologist. "The proximity sensors indicate her stress hormones are actually decreasing." Tara, for her part, seemed completely unaware she was being studied as intensely as the cubs. She had pulled out a small sketch pad and was drawing, her movements slow and deliberate. Not once did she look directly at the cubs. Hour 9. V1 was now within 2 meters. The other cubs, emboldened by their siblings' courage, had crept forward as well. "She's not making herself a threat." Tara's voice came through the comm, though she hadn't been asked a question. "Most predators look directly at their prey. I'm giving them space to observe me without feeling challenged. The human understands pack psychology," Dr. Zorthan said with grudging respect. Hour 12. V1's nose touched Tara's outstretched hand. The command deck erupted in shocked exclamations. On screen, Tara remained perfectly still as the cub sniffed her palm, then her wrist, then her arm. After a moment that felt like an eternity, V1 settled down beside Tara, her massive head resting against the human's leg. "Medical scan," Krath barked. "Is Dr. Quinn in danger?" "Negative," came the response. "The cub's stress hormones are at the lowest levels we've recorded. She's relaxed." Within the hour, all 3 cubs were clustered around Tara. She stroked their fur gently, still humming that strange melodic sound. When she pulled out the nutritional gel, they ate from her hands without hesitation. 3 days later, Kraith stood in the same observation room, watching Tara play with the cubs in their expanded habitat. They chased her, gentle despite their size, and she laughed, a sound that seemed to delight them endlessly. "I still don't understand," Krath admitted to Dr. Zorthan. "We ran every analysis. Humans don't emit calming pheromones. They're not psychically gifted. Their body chemistry shouldn't be any different from ours. Why do the cubs trust her?" Dr. Zorthan's translation device processed his response carefully. "I've studied human history, General. Do you know what humans do when they find an abandoned animal? No, they take it home. They feed it. They give it a name. They integrate it into their family unit, even if that animal could potentially harm them. Humans have a word for this: compassion. And apparently even across species barriers. Even without shared language or pheromones, genuine compassion is something that can be recognized." Kraith watched as Tara sat down, and all 3 cubs immediately piled onto her lap, purring, a sound no one had heard them make before. "Perhaps," Kraith said softly, "we've been so focused on our advanced technology and superior knowledge that we forgot the simplest truth, which is that sometimes the most sophisticated response is simply to care." Below, Tara Quinn laughed as V1 licked her face with a tongue like sandpaper, and the last Velcorn cubs in the universe finally felt safe enough to be children again.